Odds are good if you're going to spend $50,000 on a sports sedan with a 6-cylinder engine, you're going to look at these three. They are, in order of newness, the Cadillac ATS 3.6, the BMW 335i, and the Mercedes-Benz C350 Sport. Now, these three cars all have automatic transmissions. Why? Well, because with the big engine, that's going to be the most popular option. And these cars are even more similar still. They're all rear-wheel drive, they all have 4 doors, they're all within inches of each other, and between the heaviest and lightest is only a 107-pound weight difference. Now, before we get bogged down with numbers, I'll just go ahead and tell you that the car that makes the least amount of power, the BMW, is also the fastest. To find out why, go ahead and check out my review on motortrend.com. But for today, we're going to evaluate these cars with 2 criteria. One is something you've been asking about, which is, what is it like to be inside the car? What's the interior like? What's the navigation like? And the other is driving dynamics. We're going to take them up to one of my favorite roads and really put them through the ringer. And here I am inside the BMW 335i, and you can see it's an okay place to be. It's got that traditional dark BMW thing, although they livened it up with like a body-colored strip and some aluminum, but still kind of maybe the drabbest of the three. Let's talk about iDrive. Now, it's true that when iDrive debuted in the Bangle Butt 745i, it was awful. And the reason was because you had this 8-direction controller, which was the opposite of intuitive, and no one could figure it out. And I remember one time I actually timed myself, and it took me, I believe, it was like 1 minute, 49 seconds to change the radio station. Now, I want to contrast that with today's iDrive, and look, here I am on this channel, and I want to go to, let's say, Howard Stern, and even if I don't have a direct input, I can just spin this wheel so quickly, boom, there I am. I mean, it's that simple, it's that intuitive, and they've also put on redundant buttons. So if I want to go to telephone, boom, it's right there at my fingertips. If I want to go to the nav screen, boom, there it is. It just works really, really well. I don't think I'm going out on much of a limb here when I say that iDrive is the best in the business. Let's go ahead and contrast that with the command system found in the Mercedes. Here I am in the Mercedes-Benz C350 Sport, and you'll notice that, like the BMW, it's dark in here. However, unlike the BMW, it's finer, it's more tailored. There's just something about it we like better. Now, just like the BMW, Mercedes' command system features a wheel, and it can spin, you can push down on it, and it can move in 4 different directions. Unlike iDrive, there are no dedicated menu buttons, so sometimes you're going to see this in a second, it's a little confusing to get to what you want to. Now, what's also not great about the command system in the C-Class here is that the screen is relatively small. I should point out that compared to the almost brand new BMW, this is a little bit dated. But anyways, okay, so I want to get to my navigation screen, so I've got to push up, I've got to push through this, I've got to get to the main menu. Totally lost, so I hit the back button. Okay, here we go, navigation. I want to go to full screen, I have to push up, which seems a little weird. Push in. Now here's the really weird part. I do have a back button, but hitting that doesn't do anything. If I want to go back to the main menu, I actually have to click the wheel, which is a little strange. So it's just a little confusing. And then when you get to like changing the radio stations, here we are. I want to go to Howard Stern. What's nice is I have these direct input numeral buttons. Now, if I go ahead and hit 100, it takes me to NASCAR because the radios have been set up for presets. So what I have to do is go down, go over to radio, go to enter channel, select that, then enter the station I want. So again, not quite as good as iDrive, but as you're going to see in the button-free cue system in the Cadillac, not as bad as it could be. So here I am in the Cadillac ATS, and like the other two, it's dark in here. But unlike the kind of drab BMW, this thing is blingy. There is just chrome and shiny surfaces everywhere. We think it's a bit too much. But what we're really here to do is talk about the new button-free haptic cue system in the Cadillac. I'll give you the quick and dirty rundown. It doesn't work so hot, it looks kind of blasé, and I have a philosophical problem with it. Let's start with it not working so hot. The big thing is, since there's no buttons, you're totally relying on the fact that it's touchscreen. And it's easy now that I'm not driving, I can kind of be semi-accurate with it. But when you're driving, you miss a lot, and you think you're doing something and it's not what you want, and I've almost crashed twice staring at the screen. It's also a little bit dull. And basically, if I was the guy in charge of the people designing this for Cadillac, I would say, does it work better than the iPad? If the answer is no, I'd reject it. So here's my philosophical problem with Cadillac's Q. As you may know, Mercedes-Benz cars are designed in Munich and BMWs are designed in Stuttgart. Here's what I mean. The Germans just shamelessly steal from each other. They just copy each other straight up. And I have no problem with that. In fact, when Cadillac cooked up the ATS, they stole the recipe from the 3 Series. It's like Woody Allen said, if you're gonna steal, steal from the best. But Cadillac didn't do that. Instead of copying iDrive like Mercedes did with Command and like Audi did with MMI, they copied Ford's My Touch system. Why would you do that? Why not copy from the cars you're actually competing against? I think it's a real lost opportunity for Cadillac. So there you have it. BMW's iDrive is the best navigation system, but kind of like the performance numbers, they don't really tell you the whole story about a sports sedan. In fact, I'd argue that the determining criteria is how these cars perform on some of your favorite back roads. And so to find out, we took all 3 to some of our favorite roads. All right, here we are in the BMW 335i, and I gotta tell you, up here in these canyon roads, this is a great car. This is a fantastic car even. It's also our 3rd place car. And you might be saying, what? Well, let me explain why. There's a couple knocks against this car other than price, and it is the most expensive car here by about $6,000. The first is there's something kind of clinical about it. Like yes, it has very high limits and it goes very quickly, but it just doesn't feel so hot going that fast or going around corners. The steering doesn't quite load right. It's weird. It's like, I don't know, like in the Cadillac or even the Mercedes, like, oh man, you want to push these cars and they're fun. And this one, yeah, you can go maybe just as fast, maybe even faster, but you just don't care. You kind of get to where you're going, you're out of the car, and you don't think about it. Where with the other two, you want to keep driving. There's also something kind of rubbery about this car. Like the steering feels a little rubbery, and the ride's rubbery, and it's just like the seats feel rubbery, and it's not like low quality. It's just soft, and it has this huge, way underrated turbocharged engine that can get you up to speeds where you kind of want things to be firm, and it doesn't have that. So while it's a very, very good luxury car and it is very, very fast, it's just not the best car here to drive. Here we are in the Mercedes-Benz C350, and the very first thing I want to point out to you is this red seatbelts. How cool is that? It's part of some AMG trim package, even though obviously this is not an AMG car. The second thing is, if this competition had taken place 1 year ago, the Mercedes would have won. Unfortunately for them, Cadillac showed up and they brought along their ATS. Everything we like about the C350 in terms of driving, the Cadillac does just a little bit better. So this has a great, stiff, neutral chassis. Cadillac's chassis is even stiffer and just more fun to drive. This has great steering that loads progressively and everything you want in a good steering, and the Cadillac's is a little bit better. This is a really good naturally aspirated motor. Cadillac has a little bit more power. Both cars could use a new transmission. But it's like, this is a great car, but it's like it's a 7/8 size ATS, even though it is a little bit heavier. It just doesn't quite have the dynamic limits and smile on your face factor of the Cadillac. But man, I'm telling you, this is a solid, good car. Here we are on the windy road section in the Cadillac ATS, and I have to tell you, Cadillac has managed to build a car that goes around corners better than it goes in a straight line. It's just, this chassis is so good. It's by far the most fun to drive car of the three. It has the best steering. It's also the lightest car here, which is going to make it more eager to turn in. But also, we love the brakes, especially the way the brakes engage right at the top of the pedal, which really makes it a great driver's car. What I mean when I say it doesn't go that great in a straight line is that the ride is on the firm side of firm. In fact, I'd call it harsh, which I happen to really like. It reminds me of driving a sports car. And the car that I kind of was reminded of the most when driving this ATS is the Nissan 370Z. It has that level of grip, that level of just sort of letting you know what's going on the road as you drive down it. Will traditional Cadillac customers be interested in a car that rides and drives like a sports car? Probably not, but on the other hand, it might bring new customers to the brand, which is exactly what they want. Anyways, for about 50,000 bucks, this is the best sports sedan you can buy right now. So that's our story. While flawed, we think the Cadillac ATS 3.6 is the best performance sedan of the bunch. Now, what we'd really love to see is the engine and transmission from the BMW combined with the steering and the chassis from the Cadillac, all stuffed into the wonderful packaging of the Mercedes. But until that time, choose Cadillac.